When I was backpacking South Africa, I ran out of money. I remember looking up at the sky, listening to Kendrick Lamar. My head was stuck up against the glass of the window. I was in a group taxi filled with probably a dozen other people climbing through the mountains of Lesotho. Group taxis in Africa, they're vans. They're like 10 to 12 people in a van, so you all sit there, you pay for your ticket, you sit inside, you get to your destination all together. It's a much cheaper, frankly more environmental way of getting where you need to go. I looked out of the window of that taxi and I just, looking at all the rain clouds and thunder, and I just prayed. I prayed a prayer that I would have a place to sleep that night. There's a really kind boy on that taxi, about the same age as me, and we had been chatting, and he was about to get off the taxi, and he said, "Andrew, do you have a place to sleep for the night?" And I told him, "No, I don't." I wanted to explain the situation to him. I wanted to explain that I only had money for one thing. I could either spend a night inside, or I could pay for a taxi to Durban, where I needed to get for my next day. I told him, "I don't have a place to sleep tonight. I am gonna sleep outside, probably." In him, my prayers were answered. He took me off the taxi, brought me to his uncle's house, and they took care of me for the night. They fed me, they gave me a really nice bed, where I stayed very warm. They made sure that I got on the taxi the next morning. They gave me a tour of the town, and only one of them even spoke English. I never even wrote down his name. I can't believe that I didn't, but I will always be grateful to him. So I got on the taxi going to Durban, but it only got halfway there, and I only had money for that one connection. I couldn't even afford to get all the way to Durban. All I had was American dollars, and I needed to get to Durban in order to exchange the money so that I could even pay for anything. There was only one ATM in the town with the taxi station, and so I went there and I tried 8 different times, and I kept the slips because I wanted to remember what it feels like to be really desperate, to not know how you're even going to get to where you can sleep, to not have anything guaranteed. I decided to go for it. I didn't feel very confident sitting on that taxi with no money and no way to pay for the ride that I was receiving, but I was like, we'll figure that out when we get there. For now, I just need to get to Durban. The taxi driver's name was Raymond, and really, I deserved to be just kicked off the taxi, but he was so understanding. So when we got to Durban, I said, "Can you take me to a conversion shop and we can exchange money, I can give you the rand?" And unfortunately, everywhere was closed. It was 4:30 on a Saturday evening, and there was not a place open in the city. We drove to 4 different shops, and we were both getting really frustrated, really tired. And in the end, I just said, "Hey, I can't pay. And if you wait until Monday, I will get that money to you." And so Raymond, he just took the money out of his pocket and was like, "Okay, I'm gonna pay for you, but I'm counting on you on Monday." Already in 2 days, I had been taken care of by a handful of strangers that I couldn't repay. I had no way to really thank them the way that I thought they deserved to be thanked. It's so hard for us. We get so prideful, it's hard to just ask for something. And so I came off that taxi, he dropped me off in the middle of Durban, and I was just exhausted. I felt so bad that I had let him down like that, and that I was alone with no way to pay for anything in a completely strange city. When my feet hit the pavement in the middle of Durban, I was already done. I was exhausted, I was tired. I was so grateful, but it's hard to have to rely on someone. It was dusk in Durban. The light was starting to depart the sky. Tired Andrew picked up his feet, hoisted up his backpack, started walking to this hostel that was about a mile away. And luckily, I had already paid for that in advance with my debit card. I didn't have to worry about that. I had a place to stay. If you've ever been alone in a totally new city, there is so much joy in just discovering a place completely by itself and just losing yourself in that place. So I was starting to let some of that exhaustedness fall off of me as I just delighted in Durban streets. They're messy, loud, amazing, and full of life, and it was an exciting city. As I started to lose myself in the unique flavor and excitement of Durban, that's when I met him. He was standing against a wall, and he decided to come and make friends with me. I know this isn't normal in America. But when I lived in Congo, I made friends with people all the time. People on the streets would come up to me and be like, Mzungu, white person, and they would just chat with me. And sometimes they wanted to ask for something, but oftentimes we would just have a good conversation. There were days I wasn't in the mood, but I made so many good friends from just speaking to people on the streets. For every bad story that I have from meeting someone on the street, I have 100 good stories. So I didn't expect this would be that time. But this time, I did feel uneasy. I tried to shake that feeling. I asked him questions about himself. He asked questions about me. Said, hi, I'm Andrew, traveling from California. I'm backpacking through Africa. Actually, I might have told him I was from Congo. I told a lot of people I was from Congo. So I was feeling kind of nervous in that conversation, and I could tell that he was feeling nervous too. Like he was trying to lead the conversation somewhere, and he couldn't quite get there. I thought maybe he wanted to ask me for money. There's no way that he knew that all I had was a broken Android phone and the equivalent of about 40 cents in American money. We were crossing the street and I was really impatient to be alone again. And so I was about to say goodbye to him, and that's when he pulled out the knife. He looked at me and he said, this is a knife. I don't want to hurt you. Give me your phone and your wallet. My mind froze. I always thought I'd think really fast in a situation like that. You know, like bam, bam, like break their head down on your knee and then you put them in a half Nelson and then you get like a medal in front of the city hall. I don't know, I thought that would happen, but it didn't, and I just froze. And so I started kind of reaching down, because on my backpack strap I had a thing of pepper spray dangling, and I'd never used it. Well, I used it once and that kind of hurt, but I'd never used it on someone else. So as I was fumbling for my pepper spray, I just kind of stuttered out. I told him I'm not cool with that. I was really, really fluent. I felt like such a hero. But in that moment, it was all I could say. There were too many people around for him to knife me right there, and I think he realized I wasn't just gonna hand over my stuff. I could see that he was nervous, not as much as I was, but he was nervous, and he just shot me this like toothy smile. He was like, no man, I was just kidding with you, and he ran off. When I got back to the hostel that night, I was like so shook and so exhausted and just worn out, body and mind. I took some free hostel pasta, and I ended up chatting with someone else in the hostel. Her name was Tabia. We talked about mission work that we had done, and she ended up leaving me a little bit of food and money to help get me through the weekend, since I literally had nothing. That was yet one more example of someone that was so kind and helped me get through that really difficult time. I was able to eat a little bit over the weekend. I bet a little bit in a horse race. The next time I met someone on the street, I made a friend out of them too. Because out of all the strangers I've met while traveling, only one met me with a knife. Others met me with house, lodging, food, friendship, lending me money. So many people help take care of me, because there's kind people literally everywhere. They left such a bigger impact on me than the one person who held a knife. That's all I have for today. I've got a new story coming at you next Friday, so please hit that subscribe and be my friend.